Be yourself, King. Should be yourself. And really the greatest thing that you could be is to be yourself.
What's up, everybody? This is the Ike Inspirations podcast, and today I have a great guest named Kute Blackson. Kute is a transformational teacher and an author of the book I happen to read, The Magic of Surrendering. And I am so grateful to have him on, and I want to thank you for your time, Kute. And to start the podcast, I have an interesting quote by Nelson Mandela that I would like for you to speak on. And it's the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. So just wanted to hear, what are your thoughts on that quote?
I love Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela is an icon. I think life is full of challenges. Life will challenge you. Life will test you. Life is often not a smooth ride. Life is full of ups and downs. And so I think that as human beings, we are souls and we incarnate into this human experience in order to learn, in order to grow, in order to evolve. Life is like a school for your soul's growth and evolution. And everyone is your teacher. Everything is your lesson. Every moment, school is in session. And every moment is really giving us the opportunity to learn, to grow, and evolve. And that being the case, I think part of the purpose of life is to learn the lessons so that we can become more of who we really are. And the challenges are really blessings in disguise that come gift wrapped in the form of difficulties and tests and hardships and disease. And the challenges, I believe, are really meant to make us stronger. And so we're not meant to do it perfectly. We're not, and success is often not a straight line. There's ups and there's downs, there's zigs, there's zags. And so it's inevitable as you are growing and evolving and reaching for your goals and dreams and desires that you're not always going to succeed. You're not always going to attain the thing. You're not always going to stand up. Sometimes you're going to fall down, but falling down doesn't mean failure. Falling down doesn't mean the end. Falling down doesn't mean you're broken. Falling down is just giving you an opportunity to learn a lesson. Falling down is just giving you the opportunity to find out who you really are, to find out the strength of what you're really made of when you can stand up again, even when you don't feel like standing up. And so I think in that sense, often before your breakthrough, before the next level, before your manifestation, you will often face a dark moment. You will often face a falling down moment. You will often face a breakdown. And many times we tend to want to stay down when we face a breakdown because it's so difficult. It's so hard. It's so dark. We feel like we failed. And so if you're listening and you're in a moment where you're down, you're in a moment where life seems dark and life seems challenging, likely you are getting actually very close to a breakthrough, because that moment is actually giving you the opportunity to dig inside of yourself and commit to your goal and your vision, to commit to the next level of your life, to commit to the next level of what you want to manifest. That's giving the opportunity to put into practice everything you learned up until this moment. And most people often give up and they stay down. Most people often give up right before the breakthrough, right before the blessings open, right before the door opens. And so I think part of success in life, of what I have found throughout my life, quite humbly, is it's not the most talented people that succeed. It's not the most gifted people that succeed. It's not the prettiest or the most handsome people that succeed. The people that truly succeed and fulfill their potential, and there I say it, not everyone in this human experience, or most people, will not fulfill their potential in their lifetime. Most people will not fulfill their potential in their lifetime because most people, they give up or they quit. And so the people that succeed are often not the most talented, the most gifted. The people that truly succeed are often the people that refused to stay down, They refused to give up. They had the internal hunger, the internal fire to say, you know what, I'm down, but I'm not out. I'm down, but I'm going to do my best to stand up again. And if you look at anyone, any human being, anyone that achieved anything great, they had many, many moments of being down.
Okay.
Anyone that achieved anything great, they probably faced the darkness and the dark nights of the soul where they felt like giving up. But the difference was they didn't give up. They dared to get back up. And some of them, sometimes you have to crawl up. Sometimes you can jump up. Sometimes you can roll up. Sometimes you can, get up, stand up. However it is, what I would say to everybody is don't quit. What's important is not how many times you're down, but how many times you stand up again. And I think that is the determination of success, and that is the determination of greatness, is your willingness to stand up. Life is hard. Life is challenging. Life will sometimes beat you down. But the bigger the challenge is, right, often the bigger the purpose. Those challenges are simply forcing you to develop the mental, the emotional, the psychological, the spiritual capacity and muscle to be able to handle the next level of your vision. And so if you're faced with deep and big and huge challenges in your life, probably it's a sign that there is a big calling and a big vision that you have been destined for in your life, and life is just preparing you. God is just seasoning you with some spices and marinating you with some heat to prepare you to be served to the world.
So that's very interesting. As I'm hearing you speak, you mentioned human potential, and I agree with you when you said that most people don't reach their human potential. I feel like that implies that there have been some people in history who have fulfilled human potential to an extent. Do you want to talk about those people? Who are those people who you feel like and were able to self-actualize?
I can't speak for them because I'm not them, and I never met them. But when I look at Buddha as an example, when I look at Jesus as an example, right? These are people that they realize their true nature. They realize their true identity as divine beings connected to source. And in that connection, in that oneness, in that awakening, right? They transcended their human limitations, their finite potential, and they tapped into the infinite potential that is available to us all. They realized who and what they truly were. And in that awakening, they tapped into more than just the five senses. They tapped into more than just the limited ego identification. And I think in that sense, they were able to tap into the potential, the unlimited potential that is the nature of life that we all have access to. Even Jesus said, the things that I do, you can do these things and more, and more. He didn't say, well, it's just me and I'm just great and everyone else is terrible. He said, the things I do, you can do these things and more, right? But the thing is, most of us, we want to be like Jesus. We want to be like Buddha. We want to be like Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa, another example, I think she, in a very specific area, demonstrated the human potential and capacity for loving. Mandela, who you started out talking about, demonstrated the human capacity for vision and forgiveness. 27 years in prison, and he comes out and is not shooting people, murdering people, hating on people. He comes out, brings a nation together, has the people who put him in prison a part of his cabinet, right? And I mean, that's greatness. So in many ways, he was showing us the capacity of what it is to have vision and forgive and cultivate compassion. 27 years in prison. Martin Luther King, the ability to vision. So in these areas, they were showing us the it's like a Usain Bolt who showed us the capacity of what it is for a human being to run fast. the 100 meters.
Yeah.
But that these individuals, Jesus, Buddha, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, etc., showing us the human potential of what is possible for us as human beings when we bring ourselves into a deeper level of alignment, a deeper level of openness, a deeper level of connection, a deeper level of surrender, right? And so I think in that sense, that was their true greatness. They tapped into something beyond their limited human ego selves, the five senses, this ego structure. They tapped into the infinite potential of life, and that's when life was able to use them. Life, the divine, God, whatever someone chooses to call it, that intelligence that is life was able to use them and express through them and manifest through them and create through them. And that's when miracles became available. Miracles happened through them because they were not simply the ones doing it. God, life, innate intelligence, the divine was doing it through them. And so that's when I think they tapped into the true potential that I think we all have access to. And there is a secret that they don't want you to know. And when I say they, I'm talking about the media. I'm talking about governments. I'm talking about even some religions. I'm talking about, retailers and advertisers. The secret that they don't want you to know is who you really are. The secret that they don't want you to know is how powerful you really are. Because if you know how powerful you really are as a divine, infinite being, not just this limited mind-body mechanism, you will no longer be and live in fear. That is power.
That sounds interesting. That when you mentioned the word "the secret," the first thing I actually think about is Will Smith. And I actually was watching Will Smith talk about had an interview where he actually talked about one of his biggest regrets. And apparently, one of his biggest regrets was not being able to connect with Nelson Mandela before he died, because apparently they did meet, but he wanted to see Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela requested to see him one more time because he's like, hey, we need to meet. Like, I have a huge secret for you. And I don't know, I guess Will was busy or whatever. So he's like, no, we can meet another time. And every time, each year, he would request him to meet because they had a big secret. And then once Nelson Mandela passed, I guess Will Smith talks about how he wished he took the time to see him because apparently there's this secret that Will Smith didn't get the opportunity to hear. I'm curious. You just brought up the secret. It sounds like Nelson Mandela was talking about this secret. Will Smith is talked about it to an extent. What can you expand on this secret and what is it that people don't want us to know or is held
Yeah, I
captive?
just said that what they don't want you to know
Hmm.
is who you really are.
Who you really are.
What they don't
Gotcha.
want you to know
Gotcha.
is that
Gotcha.
you are an infinite divine being. We are constantly being brainwashed and hypnotized and seduced to believe that you are simply this physical body, this physical mind, body, limited mechanism, this physical form, this ego. And the more you identify yourself as just this limited physical body in this costume called you, the more limited you will be, the more fearful you will be. But when you awaken your true nature, when you tap into the divinity and the infinite nature that is beyond the physical, beyond the form, beyond this physical body, you start realizing that you are an infinite consciousness, a spirit, and an energy that is beyond physical form. Then you tap into another dimension of freedom because you start realizing that you are no longer limited in the ways that you've been conditioned and programmed to believe that you are. Because media and advertisers will tell you, hey, you're a sinner. They'll tell you, hey, you're just, you're not enough. But if you just buy this iPhone, have this pen, drive this car, wear this underwear, you're going to be lovable. It will cost you $99 though. Well, you can send us your credit card. So we're constantly being sold and programmed to believe that we're not enough, we're not worthy, we're not lovable. But now we're sold so much. And so there is a systematic, matrix-driven I don't want to say agenda, right? To make you as a human go unconscious and go to sleep. And most humans, we are sadly living in a trance, in a Coca coma. We are asleep because we've become bombarded with so much stimulation and noise and social media, and people walk around connected to their phones, scrolling. We know more about, Will Smith's life, Justin Bieber's life, Donald Trump's life than our own life. Right?
Yes,
And
that's
so we're
true.
so distracted with all of the noise out here. There's a war for your attention. Switch on the news, Fox News, ABC News. That we it's a circus out here. So now we have Saturday and Sunday night football. Now we got Tuesday night football, Monday night football. Then we got basketball on Monday and Tuesday. How do we have time to even go inside and connect to who we really are? Connect to our truth and listen and feel. We're so distracted out here. And as a result, we lose that connection to the deeper dimension of us. And so we're programmed all day long. This is who you are. This is who you are. You're limited. You're black. You're white. You're green. You're stupid. You're this. You're not enough. You're fat. You're too old. You're too that. You're too this. You're too that. And so we're constantly being bombarded with so much noise. And the real secret is that you are an infinite being. You are a manifestation of God. You are a child of God. You are a spark of the infinite life itself. And when you really connect to that and know that truth of who you are, fear drops away. Fear drops away. There's a power that you connect to, a power that is true self power, not personal power, not just ego power. And most of us, we have been conditioned to just fuel ourselves from our ego. But when we live from the ego, we are limited. When we connect to our true source as soul, as essence, then we are infinite. And to me, that is the real secret.
Well, I feel like in life, everyone, if you ask everyone, hey, do you want to be the greatest version of yourself? Everyone will be like, hell yeah, like I want to see transformation.
It's not
But
true.
you don't think that's true though.
No.
That's what they will proclaim, but you're saying they don't actually believe that.
Yeah, but that's what you proclaim. But did you go to the gym today?
I did,
If,
but I know
if
about
you did, right? But
Yeah.
if you really like, there's a difference between wanting
Yeah.
and there's a difference between being committed to.
Mm.
Everybody wants to be Gandhi, but nobody wants to do what Gandhi did.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be like Kobe, but nobody wants to do what Kobe did. Everybody wants to be like Bruce Lee or Tom Brady, but nobody wants to do what Bruce Lee or Tom Brady did. Everybody wants to be like Jesus, but nobody wants to do what Jesus did or
Or
Mandela
get crucified.
did. Right? It's like,
Yeah.
hey, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, Jesus on the cross. Hey, Father, forgive them. They don't know what
Yeah.
they do. But most of us are like, yeah, I want to be like Jesus. But the
I
moment
don't
your
think-
sister doesn't call you back, you're like, screw her. That
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And so we say that's what we want, but we're not truly committed to. We're not truly committed to it. And there is a difference. What it really takes to change your life. Step one is you have to be committed. Step two, you must go all in. And I asked the people the question, what do you want more than anything else? Sit with this simple question for a moment. What do you want more than anything else? It sounds like a very basic question. If you sit with it, what do I want? I want to be free. I want to be trusted. No, you don't. Most of us, we want our comfort.
Okay.
Most of us, we want to be liked and loved and validated. Most of us, we want our safety and our security. Most of us, we don't want to be truly free because it's the unknown. It's scary. It's out of our control. So we say we want to be free. We say we want to be transformed, but often we've become so comfortable and safe being who we are. We've become so comfortable and safe living the life that we're living, even though it's suffering. But at least we know what it is. It's safe. It's comfortable. We can have some level of control. So when you say, do you really want to be free? That's another thing. And most of us, we do not. So
Right.
when I ask people, what do you want more than anything else? Most of us don't want to be free more than anything else. We want people to like us. We want people to love us.
Yeah.
Because if you say, what do you want more than, like, if I took your head and I dunked it underwater and I held your head underwater for a minute
Mm-hmm.
and you couldn't breathe,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, would you like some chocolate?
Hell no.
Hell no. Would
Mm.
you like some crypto?
Hell
No.
no.
Would you like $1 trillion?
No.
No, because if you're dead, you can't use it. If I had your head underwater and I said, what would you want more than anything else? The only thing you would want more than anything else is to breathe with
Mm.
all of your being, with all of your energy, complete alignment. And so when we truly are clear that we want to transform, we want that to fulfill our potential more than anything else, nothing will stop it. But you see, sometimes we say we want to be free. We say we want to break through. We say we want to fulfill our potential. But maybe, I give an example, maybe you're in a relationship,
Mm.
but deep down you're afraid, oh shit, if I really break free,
I'm screwed.
if I really shine my light, if I really dare to be myself, then, my husband, my wife, they might be a bit uncomfortable. So,
Mm.
so yeah, I want to be free, but I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. So I hold back my potential to make them feel safe, so that I
Mm-hmm.
don't, rock the boat too much. So do you really want to fulfill your potential and be free? Most of us don't. So we have to first start by being honest about what we don't want, honest about where we don't want to be free. That's where the truth starts. If you really want to transform your life, you have to begin to tell the truth to yourself. And
Mm.
the thing that stops people from truly being free, fulfilled, happy, fulfilling their potential are all the lies that we tell ourselves. As human beings, we're constantly lying to ourselves all day long.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm.
yeah, I love my job. Yeah. But the truth is, we're lying to ourselves. We've been conditioned to lie to ourselves from very young.
Mm.
And so maybe you're working a job that you hate,
Mm.
but you do this job because it's all you know how to do. You do this job, maybe you've even succeeded at the job, and you get reinforced for it. You get validated for it, but you hate your job. Maybe you're in a relationship that you're not happy, but you stay in the relationship because you've invested so much into it. You stay in the relationship because you're afraid of what other people would say if you were to leave, but you're not happy. Many of us, we say yes when we mean no, and we betray ourselves because we want to be loved and liked and validated. And we wonder why we're not happy, why we're not
Mm.
free. There is no transformation to the next level without truth. You must be willing to tell the raw, real, radical truth to yourself if you're really serious about breaking through and fulfilling your potential. So you have to start with, okay, the truth is I'm scared, but I hate my job. Just start there. You don't have to leave. You don't have to, resign, but start by telling the truth. You know what? I'm not in love with my wife anymore. I'm scared. I don't know what that means, but I haven't been in love for 4 years. Just tell the truth. It's the truth that will set you free. And most of us, because we're afraid of the consequence of what will happen if we dare to tell the truth, we suppress the truth and we live a lie. And you cannot fulfill your potential by living a lie.
Mm.
So I would ask each person to sit with this question. What lies are you telling yourself? What are you pretending to not know? And what is it costing you? Start there.
Wow. Wow. I mean, yeah, you said a lot, man. That was super powerful. As you were speaking about dunking my head in the water, and you were talking about the importance of being live. For me, I thought about the quote. A healthy man has 1,000 wishes, a dying man only has one. And I think when I reflect on my life, I thought I had this desire to really be wealthy, and I still do. But I think, why do I want to be wealthy? I think it's so I can experience more of life, and I want to be alive to the fullest potential. As I hear you speak, you talk about the truth sets you free, and
Hmm.
a lot of people are in bondage, as you're saying, because they are lying to yourself. What lies would you say you personally told to yourself that weren't true and were holding you back, and how did you use those truths that you discovered to set yourself
Yeah,
free?
look, I remember. Let me go back to the beginning of
Yeah.
my journey. I was born into an interesting situation. I
Okay.
was born in Ghana, West Africa. My father's from Ghana. My mother's Japanese. I grew up in London.
Okay.
My first memories as a young boy, I remember seeing a crippled woman crawling on the floor. She picks up the gravel, the sand
Okay.
that this man walks on, wipes it on her face, and stands up.
Mm.
Week after week, I grew up seeing blind people seeing, deaf people. I grew up seeing miracles. This man was my father. My father would look at a person in a wheelchair and say, "Hey, stand up." He was called the Miracle Man of Africa.
Oh wow.
And my father built 300 churches in Ghana, West Africa. At his height, had hundreds of thousands of people in his congregation. He had a
Mm.
huge church in London, 4 to 5 thousand people every Sunday. It's huge. It was
Mm.
an iconic guy. And so when I was age 8, I started speaking in my father's audience. And when I was 14, I was ordained a minister. And I was given a mandate to take over my father's organization. I was the successor. And I remember when my father announced to the congregation, "My son is taking over my ministry." My heart sank on one level. I should have been happy, but my heart sank because as a 14-year-old
Mm.
kid, something in my gut knew this was not my path. Something in
Mm.
my gut knew this was not my life. My entire life was being programmed and set out for me by my father. And I just knew deep down that this was not my life. But I was too afraid, like many of us, right? I was too afraid to speak my truth. I allowed fear to hijack my truth. My fear was, if I dared to speak my truth to my father, if I dared to be myself, if I dared to express who I really am, then I would lose my father. I would be outcast. I would be alone. I'm only 14 years old. And so I think I tried. Look, I tried to fit myself into a box. I tried to become who I thought my father and the world wanted me to be. And I tried to fit myself into a box for 4 years. From 14 to 18, I was miserable on one
Mm.
level. I was serving the world. I was speaking in my father's churches. I was the guy at a very young age. I was helping people. But something in my gut knew that this wasn't my path. And I think there's a part of all of us that we know when something is not right. We know when
Mm.
something is not aligned. We know when we're not living in alignment. We know when we're not living our truth. We know. And how that knowing manifests is we get emotionally heavy or depressed. That is a sign that maybe you're not in alignment with your truth. How that knowing
Mm.
manifests is you get sick physically. Your body is communicating
Mm.
to you. Sick as in you get a cold. Sick as in you get a flu. Sick as in you get a dis-ease, right? Because you're not listening to the deeper knowing, so it manifests in your body to get your attention.
Mm.
Number 3, maybe you get into an accident. Your body's trying to communicate to you, so it stops you in your tracks to force you to listen, right? Number 3, sometimes you will attract people in your life that reflect to you the lies that you are not acknowledging within yourself. And
Mm.
the people you attract now start reflecting to you your own truth that you're not admitting. And so when I was 14, when I was 17 and a half, I had some choices to make because I was unhappy. I looked into my future and I saw I could take the expected path, take over my father's church, age 30, age 40, age 50, age 60, and I could be successful by the world standards. But I looked into the future and I felt my death.
Mm.
And I realized that if I followed the expected path, but I didn't have myself, what do I have?
Mhm.
And then I looked at the other path. And at that stage, I felt a deep calling in my heart to come to America. I wanted to come to America. I was living in London. I wanted to come to America to follow my dream of writing books and going into the spiritual field, the self-help field, because as a young boy, around the age 8, age 9, I started reading all the books on personal growth and self-development. Yeah, this was my life, right?
Yes.
And this was my passion. And so all of the authors I read about happened to live in California and America. And so
Yeah.
for me, this was the Mecca. And I felt this deep guidance from my soul that said, go to America. I felt my soul, a nudging in my soul telling me, go to America. But here's the thing. It made no sense to my mind. I was a 17 and a half year old kid with no support from my father, no college degree, no actual real tangible skill. Like, what the hell am I going to do with my life? And everybody thought I was crazy, and I had no money, and I didn't know anyone in America. You see, what your soul will guide you to do often doesn't make sense to your conscious mind.
Yeah.
What your soul will tell you to do is not meant to make sense to your mind, because the true intuitive guidance from your soul does not arise from your mind or your logic.
Yeah.
It arises from the deeper dimension of your being. And so often when you're being truly guided, when what you're guided doesn't make sense, it's like, I don't understand, because it's beyond your mind. And most of us, we block our blessing and we block our guidance because we feel this guidance, and then because that doesn't make sense, the mind kicks in and we try to understand it and analyze it, and before you know it, we've talked ourselves out of the guidance which says turn right. So what I had to learn to do was just follow the guidance. And that's when I decided I need to tell my truth. I need to speak my truth. I need to own my truth, because if I don't do it now, I will live a death for the rest of my life. And I had the conversation with my father. Long story short, my father and I did not speak for 2 years. It was hell. It was challenging, but I knew I was on the right track. Longer story short, I believe that when you truly follow your soul, you will always end up in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing with the right people. You are being guided. You are being guided by something bigger than yourself. And your soul does not care about convenience.
Yeah.
Your soul cares about your growth and evolution. Long story short, I ended up winning a green card in the green card lottery. And this is what enabled me to come to the US. This is what enabled me to come to America. This is what enabled me to show up with America at 18 years old with 2 suitcases, $800 in my pocket, knowing no one, to Los Angeles and beginning my path. And that's when I trusted my knowing. That's when I had to own my truth of, this is not my path. There is a different path. So if anyone's listening and you feel a calling, you feel a nudging, you feel something pulling you in a different direction, it might be scary to own your truth. It might be scary to listen. It might be scary to go in the unknown. But what I promise you from my experience is, when you follow that truth, that voice, that calling in your soul, and you honor your truth, you will end up in the right place. The path that you take may not be the one that you most expect, but you are being guided by an intelligence that is beyond your mind and your ego and your logic and your past experience.
Man, your statements are incredible. And when you speak about inner conviction, I honestly I'm just so curious about people's inner convictions and why they feel led towards one thing and another. You had the conviction that when your father introduced you as the future leader of the church, that didn't feel right to you.
Yes.
Then you also had the conviction of when you wanted to go to America, that felt right to you. But obviously you've never been to America, so what the hell do you know? Like, it could be a whole different thing. And like you said, your mind can start playing tricks. I guess for me, it's like, how do you know, like, these convictions, because they contradict not only your mind, but they contradict what the world is so popular in the world. You know, how do people, I guess where does that strong sense of inner conviction come from? Because I think this is something that, quite frankly, I struggle with, and I think a lot of people struggle with. In my personal life, you know, I'm a pharmacist. The world celebrates, oh, you're a doctor, cool, you're making six figures, oh, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I have this deep calling to be a public speaker. And this calling is coming through the form of a podcast. But podcasting, it's my platform isn't huge, it doesn't get celebrated, but I have an inner knowing, and hence I've been doing this for 69, 70 episodes straight, and I feel called to do this. And financially, am I making money? No, honestly, I'm probably losing money.
Yeah.
But there's this huge calling, and that's just I have to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about, but I just feel like God is calling me to do this.
Great.
Where does that inner conviction come from for people, and how do you know what's for you and what's not for you, so people can be on the right
Well,
path?
the calling is coming from your soul. It's coming from that deeper part of your being,
Yeah,
right? It's coming from the part of you that is beyond your mind. It's beyond you.
yeah,
You see, the dream and the vision that you have, it chose you. You think you chose it, but it chose you. It chose you because you are the perfect person to fulfill the dream and the vision. And if that's the case, that it chose you, then the dream does not belong to you. The dream belongs to life. And if the dream belongs to life, God, the divine, then life knows how to fulfill itself through you. And everything you have been through, every pain, every trial, every challenge, every failure, everything you've been through has been part of the perfect preparation to craft you into the person that is capable of fulfilling the dream and the vision. So you have to just trust that. You don't have to know the entire pathway. You don't have to know the entire plan of the universe for your life. You don't have to know all of God's plan. All you have to do is feel the nudging and the calling that is in your soul right now, and just follow it. You don't have to have it all figured out. How am I going to do that? How's it going to do that? How's it going to do that? It's just, but I feel this. All you have to do is move in that direction and take one step and follow that step and follow that step and trust that you are being guided. And every step of the way, you are simply being prepared. Every step of the way is refining you and preparing you. And so when you trust that and don't try to rush the process, sometimes people try to rush the process, but they don't realize, I want it now. Yeah, but if you had it now, you may not be ready. You might crash and burn. So these 69 episodes, 100 episodes, 7,000 episodes is all part of the preparation to make you hone yourself, hone your communication, hone your craft, hone your skill, hone your questions, hone your presence, hone yourself so that when the moment comes and God turns the spotlight on your stage, you're ready. But when the moment comes, and if you're not ready, and if you haven't done the back work, if you haven't done the 690 episodes, if you haven't done the preparation, if you haven't fallen off stage and been booed off and spoken, then when the spotlight is on, you won't be ready. It's like, oh, shoot, now the spotlight's on. And so you have to trust the process of refinement and the process of life, knowing that the master chef is cooking you. The master chef is baking you. Yeah, you might want to eat a cake after putting it in the oven for 2 minutes. But if you bake a cake for 2 minutes, it's not ready to eat. Sometimes the cake, you got to mix the cake and the ingredients, right? Then you got to put the ingredients in the oven. You got to preheat the oven. Then you got to put the ingredients in the oven, and you got to bake the cake, and you got to allow the process of maturation, the process of development to happen, which is part of the path. So don't see any stage of your process as a waste. every stage of your process is simply preparing you and bringing you closer to becoming the person that is capable of fulfilling the dream and the vision that you see. So often at first, you are given a vision and a dream for your life, but that doesn't mean that you're ready. That doesn't mean that the vessel is ready. That doesn't mean that your body is ready. That doesn't mean that your mind and your soul is quite ripe yet. You're given the seed that life and circumstance has to ripen so that the seed can grow to produce the fruit. And each stage is perfect for where you're at. And then when the fruit is ripe, when you're ripe, people say, "Ah, you're so lucky." People will say, see, I'll give you an example. When people see me speak now, they're like, "Ah, you're so gifted, you're so blessed." Yeah, but they don't realize when I was 10 years old, from 10 to 18, I would sneak into my father's church in the middle of the night for 2 to 3 hours a day for 8 years. And I would give speeches to the empty chairs in the darkness when nobody was around clapping for me. You understand? For 8 years. People don't see that when I first came to America and I was 21 years old and I decided to do my first seminar pre-internet, I went all around Los Angeles and put flyers up all around Los Angeles promoting my seminar called Beyond Boundaries at the time, 2 days. And the promotional event I was doing, promoted it for a month. 2 people came to my event that day. And when I looked in the audience and I saw 2 people that evening, I went up to one and I realized that one of them was my friend. And my friend brought a friend. So really, there's only one person. And I told my friend, clearly nobody's here, so let's cancel the event. And my friend looked at me and she said, "What the hell do you mean no one's here? I'm here, my friend's here, and you promised us transformation. We want our transformation." So I went into the toilet of the bathroom of the hotel and I cried. And I had to straighten my underpants and straighten my shirt. And I said, "You know what? If my commitment is to serve, then there are 2 souls here to serve. And if I'm really here to serve, then I need to serve these 2 souls." And I went outside and I gave the best damn 2-hour seminar of my entire life in front of 2 people. You see? So what people often don't see is everything that you had to go through to ripen you, to prepare you. We live in an age where often everybody wants everything and everybody wants it now. Amazon Prime. You used to have to order some stuff and it took 2 weeks. Now you order it, you can get it the same day. So now people want instant gratification, instant karma, instant manifestation, instant six pack, instant soulmate. But the truth is, there is no instant success. Success comes as a result of the expansion of your consciousness and you becoming the person. So there's 3 reasons why your dreams don't manifest. Number 1, the goal or the dream that you are pursuing is not the true authentic goal that is in alignment with your soul. In other words, what you think you want is not what you really want. It's just what you think you want based on who you think you are. Right? I want the Lamborghini. I want it, but it's not really the Lamborghini. I mean, hey, Lamborghini is a nice car, but it's not really the Lamborghini that you want. What you really want is something else. And so many of us, we're pursuing the wrong goal based on our pain, our wounding, our childhood, our feeling not enough, and I'm worthy. And we think if I can just achieve the thing, then I'm going to be enough. Then I'm going to be worthy. Then I can prove to my dad how valuable and worthy I am. But if nothing outside of you will fulfill you. So sometimes the goal and the dream that you're trying to manifest is the wrong goal. It's not truly in alignment. That's number 1. So what we have to be willing to do is step back. And just because it doesn't manifest doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means step back and reevaluate. What is true? What is real? Is this really authentic, or am I just trying to prove my value to the world? Am I trying to prove my worth to my dad, to my mom, to the childhood bully? That's number 1. Many of us, we're trying to manifest. We look around comparing ourselves on social media to this person, that person, thinking, "Oh, I got to be like that person." But we have to tap into what is true for us authentically. Second reason why things don't manifest: timing. I kind of touched on this, but sometimes it's just not the right timing yet. Yeah, but I want to go swimming. I want to go swimming at the beach. Yeah, but it's winter and it's minus 17 degrees and it's snowing. You can go snowing in the winter in the snow in Toronto, but it's gonna be cold and you might get sick and it might be miserable. You can eat a mango that is unripe and green, but it's gonna taste terrible. And many of us, because we try to force the process of life, we are eating unripe mangoes. We're not ripe yet. And maybe we're not ripe yet. Maybe your soulmate's not ready yet. Maybe the collective consciousness is not ready yet. And so we try in our impatience to force the process of life. We have to learn to trust divine timing. Everything has a season. Everything has a rhythm. There is summer, there is autumn, there is winter, and there is spring. And when we can learn to trust the divine timing, then we can bring ourselves into harmony with the natural flow of life. Life flows instead of forcing things. Thirdly, third reason why dreams don't manifest is perhaps if life is a school, you are a soul, life is a school. Life is a university. Everything is your teacher, and everyone and everything is your curriculum. You incarnate in order to learn, to grow, and evolve. If that is the case, then one of the reasons things don't manifest is you have not learned the lesson that your soul is seeking to learn, where you're at and with who you're with. And all lessons are repeated until learned. And when you don't learn the lesson where you are with who you're with yet, you just go around in circles. So instead of trying to force and push with your ego force, step back and ask yourself, if you're feeling stuck, why am I not going to the next level? Step back and ask yourself, what is my soul seeking to learn through this experience? Step back and ask yourself, what am I resisting learning through this experience? Step back and ask yourself, what do I not want to learn right now through this experience? Because when you can learn the lesson for what your soul is seeking to learn, where you're at with who you're with, this is the key that unlocks the next level of your manifestation and of your life. So you're always where you're meant to be. When you can truly trust the timing of life, then you can truly embrace the season you are in and learn the lesson and learn what you need to learn. The podcast you're doing is simply preparing you. It's preparation. If you skip that preparation, you don't do the preparation, you won't be ready for what life and God has in store for you.
Man, as we speak, I feel like we're not on Ike's time or Kute's time, we're on God's time. And I feel like that's something that we constantly have to remind ourselves of. And it's incredible, man, because you said so many things that I wanted to touch on. But perhaps the thing that stuck out to me the most is when you spoke about you being from 10 to 18. You would literally go out and talk to an empty chair for 2 to 3 hours. Like,
Every day.
every day. I mean, well, I don't know how often, but often. Daily. What was like? Because that's not normal at all. Like, what was that about? Why were you doing that? Were you forced to do it?
Simple.
You just felt you were just doing it just because you just felt like you had to do it.
It was a calling.
Wow. Because that's not. I mean, especially at your age. Maybe once you get older and you're more mature, you feel like you have to discipline yourself towards something. But at the age of 10, that's wild. So you always felt like it was just called, and you just followed it.
Yes.
Wow, man. And so, okay, cool. And then as you were speaking, I also wanted to share just one quote that you wrote, and it's very powerful. And it says, "Life is a mirror of your inner state of being."
Yes.
For me, when I started to learn about that and I've started incorporating this truth in my life, I felt like my awareness of everything has completely changed, and I stopped taking things a lot personal. If someone is being mad at me or if someone is yelling at me, I'm not thinking, oh, what did I do wrong? I'm like, oh, there's something, he's having a stressful day, or he's going through a lot of stress, and he's just projecting that onto me. And then likewise with me, I feel like oftentimes I've noticed if I'm yelling or if I'm doing something that's not in my highest state, it's because I'm put myself in a lower vibration, and I'm just constantly, pushing to it. So I'm just curious for you, where did you learn this truth? Life is a mirror of your inner state of being.
I would love to continue, but
sorry. I apologize.
I'm out of time.
Okay. My apologies.
Just based on the timing, but I would love to share with people a few links and a few.
Yeah. Please do.
Yeah. Maybe we can synchronize a part 2 at some point. That would be amazing.
No worries, man.
It's been a beautiful conversation. I would say, if you've been inspired by the conversation today, I'd love to delve a bit deeper. A couple of things I would say. I do a lot of live events and seminars around the world. You can find out about some of the upcoming ones for the rest of the year. Go to www.kuteblackson.com and find out more there. Also, I created a very special course. It's called the 8 levels of gratitude. 8 levels of gratitude. There are 8 levels of gratitude that when you learn to master and use and harness will begin to unlock your ability to manifest and create in your life. And I think gratitude is one of the superpowers of life. And I decided I was guided to give away this course. It's 8 videos, 8 modules. I want to give away this course to the world. It's changing thousands of lives. You can basically receive and download this course for free by going to www.8, the number 8, 8levelsofgratitude.com. That's 8levelsofgratitude.com. Just enter your name and enter your email and get access to the very powerful 8 modules. You can find me also on Instagram, Kute, Kute, Kute Blackson, Facebook, Kute Love Now. Follow me there. Get the book, The Magic of Surrender, my best-selling book, or You Are the One.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your wisdom and sharing your life experiences. And remember, everyone, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Thank you.